Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 26 of Direwolf20's Not Too Complicated series, where today I'd like to just do a couple things. What do we got storage-wise over here? How are we doing on channels? 15? That ain't bad. You could use a little bit more maybe at some point, but that's fine. And then you've got 9. Just checking in on my stuffs. One thing I'd like to maybe consider, real fast. I don't think I need you to exist anymore, MEIO port. I was using you for stuff in the past, but I think you're done now. Maybe what I want to do is have this with an ender chest and an import bus. This is a pretty standard process for Dire, right? Now I have a pouch where anything I put into said pouch gets imported into the system, right? And now we've got a nice way to deposit stuff into our applied energistics system remotely. So like if I'm flying around in the end or the nether or something like that, right? The reason I decided to do this is I think I'm going to move this drawer to exist over on our normal drawer system. And I'll set this to be an ender chest here so that way I have access to this at all times, right? So now I can come in here and say HDPE 123, boom, 123. And then for you, what I'll do is just this, and then now he'll right into there. And that'll be cool, right? One thing I was noticing is we're a little bit low on this ethylene stuff, the liquid that we need, whatever it is, ethane, ethylene, liquid something, propane, this stuff, liquid ethane, which turns into liquid ethylene. Now the good news is it's 50 millibuckets of liquid ethylene per sheet. So we're not burning through this stuff too fast. And we might have enough sheets to get us to the point where we're going to have access to Mekanism machines, because ethylene is way easier from Mekanism. Remember, liquid ethylene is made with water, any kind of water, by the way, regular water works, and hydrogen, which we can get from the electrolytic separator from water. So it's literally water and biofuel, which is made in the crusher. So once we get Mekanism, this liquid will be way better. The other thing I did is I noticed my pump jack is way slower than my distillation tower. So I put a little buffer tank in between. I took one of the fluid cells I had, gave it a 4x upgrade with another 4x upgrade, and it can in total hold 512 buckets worth of oil. This way, if I do decide I need more of this stuff, I just turn on the lever, or turn off the lever, I guess, and it'll start draining the oil for me and keep the crude oil coming. Because what was happening until then is we'd run out of this buffer real quick, and then it would take a really long time for the pump jack to catch up, right? Because it burns the oil in here way faster than the pump jack is producing it, like way faster. So that's just an FYI for y'all, is what I did between episodes. So now let's get into actually making our gray plastic block. So if we came in here and said we want a gray plastic block, like for example you, we could do that like so. Cool. And then throw that in here. And then if I said, hey, give me, if we want to make a machine frame, it's going to be 4 cobalt, 4 dimensional shards, and 56 gray plastic blocks. So we got to do that. And that should be cool. Nice. And then we want cobalt times 4, which shouldn't be a problem because remember we've got cobalt essence, right? Way better. And then my dimensional shard blocks. We already made the 4? No, we didn't make the blocks. We just made the shards themselves. So not a big deal there. I might teach the system how to make this real quick, only because it would be cool to do so. But in general, we're not going to have a lot of the resources on hand. But if I taught it how to make it, it's fine, right? Cool. Now let's see if we can... and I know I messed this up last time, but these are actually buttons apparently. Oh my, look at that. Oh, that's cool. So you can kind of see what that is. Oh, nifty. I got you. That's pretty cool. That is cool. I like that. I like that. So let's come over here and build this and get a new copy paste of it. So I want a new piece of paper. Let's take you out of there. Let's get ready to save you. Let's get our copy paste gadget in copy mode. And yeah, let's do the building thing. Cool. All right. So we want a 4x4 on the base, right? And I'm going to assume that it matters where I put the blocks in the dimensional shards. So the first place we're going to put it... Oh my goodness, you spin. I guess it doesn't matter? I guess it doesn't matter, right? So I'm guessing it's like this, 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 right? Now, we also want that. Now, for the next piece... So they alternate. You see that? They alternate. So shards go on top of cobalt. And cobalt goes on top of shards. And then fill in the top. And that should be cool. So let's copy this dude. And we're going to save you as RF tools block. Save. So now that we can copy and paste you going forward. And then, is it an HDPE that we drop in there? How do we actually form you? No, we need a dimensional shard ore. No, that's fine. That's fine. Huzzah! We did it! We did it, folks. Got our first RF tools block. That is cool. Now, what I'll probably do is use this immediately to make the builder. Okay? So that's a quest complete, which is excellent. So RF tools, we are on our way. Now I should be able to make all the things in here, no problem, right? There's a bunch of like redstone-y sensory things. There's the teleportation system, but frankly with /home, it's not a big deal. But I mean, it might be useful. Might be useful. But we're gonna need a lot of machine frames, right? Now, did you do the nice thing and give me multiple machine frames as a quest reward? You did not, and that makes me sad. Boo. Boo, I say to you. And the crafters are so useful. There's so many useful RF tools machines, but boy, is this an expensive recipe. Boy, is that an expensive recipe. Not that bad, I guess. Especially once we get multiple HDPE sheets. So it's really not the worst recipe in the world, if you think about it, right? It seems like a lot, but like, this is not that much. It's mostly EMC. This we have seeds for, and this we have automated now. And once we get into Mekanism, we'll be basically free, because it's water and plants. So, not too worried. There's the digital storage stuff, the beacon stuff. There's all kinds of great stuff in here. But mostly I want to make the builder. Now, why are you grayed out? Shape card is the prerequisite for that. So we're going to want a shape card, and then we're going to want to make the builder. So let's get those going. And I just took the builder off my to-do list rather than putting it on, because I are smart. Cool. I think I taught you how to make bricks, by the way. Sweet. Okay, so shape card, good. And then we can make the builder. Just going to make 4 more sets of these. And I call that a win. Nice. Press F1 for help. I'm pressing it. It's not doing it. Oh, there we go. Quarry, build, pump, collect XP and items, and more. Use one of the shape cards to control what has to be done. Sweet. So let's remember how the builder works and go from there. Okay. Copy from space chamber to here. Chest on top or below with materials. Yeah, you need some power. Yeah, I remember this sort of ish. Yeah. Let me go research a little bit for a minute so I can be a little less stupid about this. But in theory, we put the resources in here, it can build it for us, and we should be able to automate that. Now, what I'm thinking is we will probably want multiple builders, one for each structure. Whether or not we need multiple field projectors is a question. Because in theory, we might not. We'll see. We'll see. Now, it just occurred to me, and I'm in my test world, as you can see, where I think I was testing pollution recently, the last time I was in here. It just occurred to me that I think I need space chambers in order for this to work, and that's going to be expensive, because we need 8 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 8 space chambers, one of them being a controller, which is just a space chamber. So in total, 8 space chambers, each of which needs a machine frame. So that's going to be a little pricey. So hopefully... Well, actually, it's going to be 8 space chambers per miniaturization recipe, right? Because I think we need to copy it. Well, let's see. Let's see if the space chambers can be reused or not. Because I don't know if they can be, but I think they have to be. So let's do this, 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 and this. This is me remembering how this mod works a little bit. A little bit. And this is me showing you guys my process a little bit, because I like you guys to see like how I do things sometimes. So can I... Chamber completed successfully. Nice. Alright, cool. So then what I want next is a space chamber card. Sweet, look at that. Okay, cool. Alright. So you can see what's contained within, right? So then if we came over and made ourselves a builder and gave you some free energy, zoinks, and did the space chamber. Oh boy, that's gonna crash my game. Well, let's try building with it, and then we'll see what happens. So I think if I put the resources in here and give you a redstone signal, well, that's pretty cool. That works pretty well. I like that. Right? Now, if I remove a block from here... Actually, let's try a couple things, right? So you are... I'm hoping that you, like, remembered your settings, and I don't need multiple sets of space chambers. But if I break you... See, now you've only got 15 blocks of iron. That's not ideal. That's not ideal. Because what that's telling me is that I'm going to have a space chamber for each multi-block. Remember when I was messing with my middle mouse button before? Yeah. That's annoying. So, like, if I remove you... Huh. He seems to... Okay. Maybe I could reuse it then. Because then I could set up another space chamber block. Right? I might be able to reuse the space chamber blocks. So yeah, he's remembering. So I have to leave the structure there, but I think I can reuse the space chamber blocks. Does that seem reasonable? Space card? And then you're gonna be... Ah. So I can reuse the space chamber cards. That, or the space chambers. So once we make the eight space chambers, we can reuse them. But we definitely want to keep the structures in place. Otherwise, they'll lose track of what they're supposed to be. But then we can break and remove the space chambers. Now, this is going to list nothing, right? Or actually, yeah, you know, you did. I'm very confused. Right? Channel 4, area 0 blocks. Okay. So you're set to channel 4 now, and you're still set to channel 1. Cool. And you're showing the 4 iron. You're still showing the 4 iron. So at least I know we don't need 8 RF tools cores per structure. We only need, realistically, we need one because we're going to need a separate builder for each structure is really what's going to happen here, right? So now this is bound to this is bound to that, and we should be cool. And then you should still be able to copy this, right? So even though the space chambers aren't there and no mores, he still remembers, I guess, the Y coordinates or whatever. There's probably NBT on here that says this is the XY area to copy from, and then the space chambers are no longer needed. That's what I'm assuming is happening. I could probably go look at the code and come up with a conclusion, but... Got it? So now we know how things work well enough that we can use this. And then in theory, remember, there's from compact crafting, there's a field proxy match, shift use on a projector to bind to a field, use proxies for field automation with redstone. Basically, I think this will let us emit a redstone signal when there's a fully built structure inside the compacty thing that we can send to a dropper to drop the item that we need, and that would be cool, right? Perhaps. So let's do this. Let's go back to our real world where we're not cheating everything in, and I'm going to need 8 more machine frames. It's going to be a little expensive, but I think we can pull it off. So we're going to need 448 HDPE sheets to pull this off, and everything else will be pretty easy. I'm going to come back when I have it all. And for the record, look how fast we're burning through crude oil right now. That's why I set up the buffer fluid cell. It goes really quick. It goes really quick. This thing processes crude oil very quickly. Oh well. You know, part of me is kind of feeling like maybe I should use the plastic that I'm getting from my oil field to get into Mekanism so that we have access to Mekanism and we can get HDPE sheets through Mekanism so that we can get more steel frames and more RF tool stuff better. And then we can get off the oil dependency. Because oil will run out. My nervousness here is that this oil well is going to run out. It doesn't seem like it's going to run out, but it very well could. Like, I purposely left my core sample drill here so I could check on it every now and then. And if we take a quick peek, remember we were at 7 million last episode. We're now at 6.3 million. So we've already used a seventh of our oil to make what we've got so far. So that's not going to last forever. That oil is going to need, you know, something at some point. So we might want to reshift our priorities and do Mekanism and then go to RF tools, circle back to the builder process after we do Mekanism. I think that's where we're going to go. You want to do that? Everybody cool with that? I think we're going to do that. So let's start the Mekanism chapter here, which should be easy enough to do. Okay. And then first things first, obviously, we're going to want to make steel casings, which again does not give me a reward. I'm very upset about. And then we're going to want metallurgic infusers, which is mostly plastic, crystalline pink, which is automated, osmium, which is no big deal, diamond furnace is no big deal. Oh, that's right, we need the populated PCBs, don't we? I forgot all about these. We're going to need that assembler machine. We're going to need molten tin, which we can get from a magma crucible, so no big deal there. And we're going to need this assembler from the custom machinery mod. Let's look into that. So these guys are easy enough to get. Aluminum wire we can make with casting or a metal press. So we'll figure that out in a bit for automation if we need a lot of that. Transistors, tin plates, redstone ingot, copper wire, liquid refined glue is a fractioning still with resin. So we can make that happen. Resin comes from our boil extractors, right? So we can make that happen. So that's your transistor. Everything else is makeable. This is copper wire and coal dust with more glue, so definitely doable. And then this guy needs sulfuric acid and a basic circuit board. So sulfuric acid comes from a magma crucible of sulfuric acid or a chemical reactor, liquid sulfur trioxide, and water. So I assume that this is not that easy to get. Liquid sulfur trioxide and water. Well, we can kind of do it with thermal. This is Mekanism, right? Yeah. Sulfur dioxide with liquid oxygen. I'm just looking to see if this is technically doable with thermal. Yeah, it's a lot of thermal machines, but it's technically doable with thermal. Alternatively, there's more glue, copper, and plastic in the assembler. But this printed circuit board needs sulfuric acid, which is maybe liquid sulfur trioxide? We're figuring this out together, folks. Liquid sulfur dioxide and liquid oxygen, which we're kind of already making-ish. So we could get the liquid sulfur dioxide from sulfur dust. Yeah, not super easy. Alchemistry, I assume, is... Yeah, that's gated behind Mekanism, so that's not happening anytime soon. Yeah, I think the process is either it's like 5 or 6 Mekanism machines or 2 or 3 of these custom machinery machines. So let's check out custom machinery because it's a new mod. I like that plan. So long story short, we need printed basic circuit boards to make our first machines from Mekanism, right? Populated basic PCBs. So we need printed basic circuit boards, which is going to need sulfuric acid. Everything else is pretty straightforward, aside from that refined glue, but we can get that pretty easily, right? So the main trick will be sulfuric acid, which we can get from a chemical reactor with water and liquid sulfur trioxide. And liquid sulfur trioxide comes from a chemical reactor. So we're going to need a couple of them. With liquid sulfur dioxide and liquid oxygen, which we can currently get, like we currently are, and this guy can come from a magma crucible. Cool? With sulfur. And I think we've got a lot of sulfur dust. And we could even get more, because I think, is there a seed for it? Yeah, sulfur essence, right? So if we needed more sulfur, we could do... Okay, so that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. So let's check out this chemical reactor and assembler mod stuff. That's like, yeah, I think that should be fun. So we're going to need a couple of these. Don't look too bad. Zirconium, huh? Oh my goodness. How do we get you? Yeah, no, we can't do that until Mekanism. There has to be a way, right? So maybe we have to do the thermal approach. Because chemical reactors, while they would be an awesome way to get what we need here, we don't have access to until we get through. So in order to make the chemical reactor, we need the populated basic PCB. So we have to go the thermal route to get chemical reactor, to get sulfur trioxide, right? So let's undo this list of how we're going to do all this, right? So to make sulfuric acid, which we need for this guy, right? So in order to make sulfuric acid, we're going to need to go the thermal route. So we're going to need this sulfuric acid, which comes from, so let's say, magma crucible sulfuric acid. And the sulfuric acid comes from a fluid encapsulator with water and sulfur trioxide. Water we can get from... Tell me this is cheap. This is cheap. Okay, so that's easy enough to get, right? This is a cheap recipe. So that's easy enough to get. Cool. Yeah, this one's the one that's hard. And then this stuff comes from a magma crucible of sulfur trioxide, which comes from a fluid encapsulator of sulfur dioxide and liquid oxygen. And sulfur dioxide comes from a fractioning still, holy cow, we have a lot of things to make, of liquid sulfur trioxide, which comes from a magma crucible of, yeah. So we need like a bunch of stuff. So let's start with sulfuric acid. I'm going to quickly add up everything I just said to figure out how many machines we need. So if my math is correct, I need 3 magma crucibles, 2 fluid extractors, and a fractioning still to get us from sulfur dust to liquid sulfur trioxide to sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide to liquid sulfur trioxide to sulfuric acid to liquid sulfuric acid, which can be used in the assembler to make the printed circuit boards. And everything else would be pretty simple. So let me get that process built now, and then we'll circle back and make like the glue, and we'll figure out how assemblers work from custom machinery. This one doesn't look like a bad recipe, and we'll go from there. Deal? All right, so two things. One, I turned off the export for my oxygen because we're going to need some. And two, we should be good here with some machines. So I started basically adding on to the machines that we have. So let's start this process, and then we'll automate it, right? So we'll start off with sulfur going in here, right? And we might want some augments, so why don't we kick off like making about 10 of these? Or 11, that works too. We're low on silver. That is a problem I can solve. Problem solved. This pack is fun. We're also low on tin. That's a problem I can solve. This pack is fun. Now are we good? Now we're good. Start. You make that up there. Hopefully nobody gets stuck. So anyway, you're fractioning still directly into sulfur dioxide. So that knocks out those two deals, right? So there's your sulfur dioxide and sulfur, and the pyrolyzer I may or may not need another of, right? Liquid oxygen we're already making, so I'm going to like double dip on this. And if it turns out we need to use, if we need another pyrolyzer, I will make one. But for now, my thoughts are, I'm going to turn off the HDPE maker and then come back to it using Mekanism stuff once we get Mekanism going, right? And hopefully we have enough HDPE sheets as it sits right now. We've got 413, so we've got a decent amount. So we can probably get some Mekanism stuff going by way of that. All right, cool. So now that we've got our sulfur dioxide, we want to make sulfur trioxide this. So it's liquid oxygen in a fluid encapsulator with the sulfur dioxide that we're making. So that's going to be our fluid encapsulator, who's going to accept, and then output to the left, right? So fluid encapsulator, you need some power. Did we burn through all our sulfur? We did already. Cool. And then you're going to extract fluids out the top here into there. Cool. So your oxygen is going to make its way over to here to make sulfur trioxide. How cool is that? And then that sulfur trioxide will turn into a liquid in a magma crucible. So you're going to output automatically, and you're going to accept, and then you're going to turn into liquid sulfur trioxide. And then in order to get sulfuric acid, we need to combine that liquid sulfur trioxide with water, dudes, in a fluid encapsulator. So far, I've done everything right. So you're going to accept, and you're going to push your liquid trioxide, and then that's going to need some water, which is going to be made in an atomizer. Now, do you need power atomizer? Yes, you do. Okay, cool. And then you're going to this, and you're going to accept from the top. But actually, you're making items, not fluids. So pipes. You're making items, not fluids, okay? Now, we're going to have to automate getting water into this guy, but we'll deal with that in a minute. But I think for now, right, we could probably just get a bucket of water just to test this out real fast. We can get, you know what, can water come from ice? Just curious. No, it has to be water. So if we got, I'm just going to real quick, some ice. And we can use, there's things we can do to automate water in this pack. We just haven't needed to yet, funny enough. Cool. So you're going to atomize water. Wow, you do need a lot of power. Pipes. Where are you at, pipes? Give me one of these guys. You can see I automated making these. Huzzah. You clearly are going to need some power at a higher rate. Yeah, you do. Holy cow, that's a lot of power it needs. You are struggling, buddy. You are struggling. But the point is we've got sulfuric acid now. Cool? And now that we've got the sulfuric acid, we can magma crucible it into liquid sulfuric acid. And boy, is that a tiny amount. Boy, is that a tiny amount. Holy cow, that is a tiny amount. So you're going to accept, and you're going to push. Cool. And now we've got 250 sulfuric acid from a stack of sulfur. Okay, so a stack of sulfur turns into 250 millibuckets of sulfuric acid. Now, for a printed circuit board, we need 100 millibuckets of sulfuric acid. So luckily, it's not that bad. But there's sulfuric acid production line. It's not terrible, actually. It looked a lot worse in JEI than it turned out to be. It really did. It looked worse than it was. It's not bad at all, right? So you're fractioning and you're watering, and then you have... Oh, you know what? We have a lot more sulfuric. Yeah, so I didn't account for the fact that we haven't automated water yet. So we probably get a lot more sulfuric acid from sulfur. I need to get water in there. Aqueous accumulator? Right? Is that a thing? Yes, it is. We could totally do that. Yeah? I don't see why not. Okay. And then get a couple ice blocks. Get some of this and some of that. So effectively what we want is probably an aqueous accumulator. He doesn't need power, by the way. I'm just putting him there because it's the easiest way to go. Yeah. That's cool. Now, how much power are you actually using? Because it looks like the number is bananas level amounts of power. Holy cow, that's a lot of power. Where's our bottleneck here, in theory? Yeah, wow, you are a thing. Holy cow, where's the dude that does the thing? We are probably gonna have to address our power situation pretty soon. Where is the power? Oh, it's probably on the outside. I think it is. It's over here, isn't it? Yeah, buddy. So you have no limit on this. So that's good, at least. You know. If I disabled limit, would that... It's probably just, you know, everything else going on here. So, wow. Ultimately, this atomizer is just super expensive. That's what it comes down to. Holy cow. Also, probably something chewing up a lot of power would be... I have both of these running. These are each using 1500 RF a tick because we needed more fire and stone. Hopefully we have enough now of the fire and stone. Yeah, we're pretty good. Yeah, we're pretty good. It's enough for now. So that'll save my power a little bit. But yes, clearly these guys could maybe, you know, get upgraded a little bit. And that wouldn't be a bad idea. We could probably augment them with these. Now, here's a question, but you have 12,000. Can I just do that? That works. Yeah. I wanted to make sure we wouldn't void the fluid that was in there. Cool. And this goes from making 480 to 640. So that's a nice boost, right? A little bit more RF per tick production. And then you guys should have no problem getting that into the redstone flux cell. And we'll kind of decide if we need more of these at some point. How's my refined? Yeah, you're doing okay. In terms of the... You're doing pretty good, actually. Though I'm questioning why you have sulfur in you. Did we not void upgrade these? We may not have. No, I mean, you don't have that much that you should be worried about void upgrade problems yet. Did you guys reverse yourselves? Is that what happened? You've got heavy oil and you've got light oil. No, you should be cool. Maybe at some point he reversed himself? That's probably what happened. Yeah, at some point he reversed himself, and that's why that happened. Well, a problem that'll go away when we get into Mekanism, right? So are you done, like, just being ridiculous with power usage? Or what? Pretty done. So yeah, now we've got 3125. So we'll we'll let this guy backstuff his water. So in a moment, he will be done using power, and then our power problems will be gone. But yeah, power problems might be a thing we need to come up with. A better power gen solution. As much as these guys produce a lot of power per refined fuel, they don't produce a lot of RF per tick. So that's something we're going to want to investigate solving. But for now, I think it's probably wrapping up point, right? So let's wrap up here. We can come back next episode. Is that helping? That's helping. We'll come back next episode and look into effectively making these with the assembler. Now, whether we're going to need more than one assembler is a question, but we know we need an assembler for molten tin, we need one for sulfuric acid, and we need some for refined glue. So we probably need 3 assemblers. So we're going to investigate what this mod's all about next episode. For now, that was my sign off. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. For now, take it easy.